We are live from Auckland Park in Johannesburg. This is It's Topical. It is your show. It's an interactive show. It is where we deal with the relevant stories that made headlines during the week. Why, you ask? Because these are the stories that had an impact on your life in one way or the other. After all, it's topical. A very good evening to South Africa and those watching around the world. My name is Blaine Herman and signing for us is Augustine Letlaulo. And this is It's Topical. We have a packed program for you tonight. And as always, we have our central voice here. The digital audience will be joining us in a while. There you go. Hello, digital audience. Welcome to this Sunday's edition of It's Topical. It's great to have you on the program. They're joining us from all corners of the country via Zoom with pertinent views on the issues of the day, and some of them are media personalities, sports and crime reporters, political science, law and journalism students from different universities, so it'll be interesting to get their take on what we're about to talk about. Now, we might not get comment from all of them during the course of tonight's program, but they have been invited to observe the live program because of their interactions with us during the course of the weekend. Those interactions have, in one way or another, contributed to tonight's topic. So welcome to them all. And this is what the program is all about, my brothers and sisters, giving you a voice. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to inform the debate. It is our job to give you the facts. It is yours to decide what it means to you and your family. Now, to the important question of the week. This is what we're talking about. And as you know, it relates to the trial of the murdered soccer sensation Senzo Meyiwa. Got underway, the trial that is, at the North Gauteng High Court, almost 8 years since his death. So on the question of the week, we are asking you, how do delays in criminal proceedings affect the victims and their families? Walk with me. I'm going to give you some context while we get ready for the roundup. The larger question as well is that, how can we as citizens play a larger role, or bigger role, a more important role in trying to, get more resolution from the criminal justice system? How do we get them more responsive to the needs of society? What about the question of, is the NPA and the South African Police Service fit for purpose? We're going to discuss this issues. We're going to bring in the better minds onto the program. We're going to get you some answers. For now, let's take a look at the roundup. All right, let's take a look at some of the topical stories for this week. And South Africans took to social media to voice their dissatisfaction after Eskom implemented stage 4 load shedding. And as you know, it started last week Sunday with stage 2 hitting citizens in the cold weather. And by Monday, it was already moved to stage 4. Now, Eskom cited problems with their generating units. Meanwhile, on Friday, you'll remember this, the Eskom board appeared before the Standing Committee on Public Accounts to answer for the failing state, one would say, of the electricity utility. Eskom board member Busisiwe Mavuso says that basically the current management and the board cannot be held accountable for the mess in Eskom. Take a look at what she had to say. Let's try that again.
We have been brought in to clean it up, but we are not going to be the fall guy for the 300 and whatever billion of Medupi and Kusile that have still not been completed. Doing our best to try and finalize those projects. And as Andres said, we have committed that we will avail ourselves to be held accountable, Chairperson, to ensure that Kusile is finished by 2023. But everything else, honestly, we cannot be the fall guy for this ANC-led government.
Well, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial is finally underway after a number of delays for various reasons in the past. Reading the charge sheet in court, the prosecutor in the Meyiwa murder case, Advocate George Baloyi, said that the gun was found in Mtotbisi Prince Nqube's girlfriend's kitchen. Nqube is accused number 3 in this trial. Let's take a listen to what Advocate Baloyi had to say.
The state will further lead evidence to seek to prove that the cell phone of accused number 3 was confiscated upon his arrest and that the data on his cell phone was downloaded and various photos were found. Inter alia, a photo depicting that very same firearm that matched the bullet that was found on the kitchen cupboard, with the caption, "My killing machine." And my lord, this firearm will also serve as an exhibit.
Well, to the other feature of It's Topical, it's called The Word on the Street. In this segment, we went out to Vosloorus in Ekurhuleni to gather your views on this issue. And you'll remember that Vosloorus is where Senzo was killed while visiting his then-girlfriend, singer Kelly Khumalo. This is what you had to say.
batho ba tsebang ke batho ba gale ba le ka re ga ntlo ele gore ke manga mmolaile ka kala gore a o sene tšhelete mo South Africa o tlo dula ka tronko.
Meyiwa washona kunabantu ababe khona endlini yingani labo bantu benga investigate ngendlela nje emangalisayo.
Ngokwami kubaneke ngami lokube yimi president bengizothatha wonke umuntu owaye lapha kube uye bazokhipha nabe lapha bonke ababoshwa babesendaweni yesehlakalo hayi ukuthi kuloko banje abantu ababengekho kupointa abantu abangekho.
Lento lena was something compiled by abantu abamaziyo, so labantu laba abamlimazile bafowethu mabatholakale.
Ababulali bakhe especially yena lomsolo losolwayo sibonga ukuthi ubaba uMvelincanga uzo make sure ukuthi labantu laba baya bantinta abahlali noma icala lithatha isikhathi akusenani ngoba bona abasolwa sebabanje hayi makwande ma sibonga.
Mina ngicabanga ukuthi ijustice isfailile thina as South Africa yafela nefamily ka Senzo Meyiwa kuyimanje asikho sure ukuthi labantu ababophile yibo ngempela yini
go casing e ya Senzo ke fila hore maphodisa a sebeditse le di criminals tse bolaileng Senzo. Why I'm saying that is how no re case e ka tsamaya for 8 years
angisiboni isidingo samaphoyisa ukuthi kahle kahle bayenzani laba khona ngathi balele nje and ijustice iyafuneka ukuthi uSenzo Meyiwa babathola ababulali bakhe.
I think they couldn't get the right person ombulele and lento le ibhlungu because abazali bakhe bashone besakhala bengayithola ijustice
bamkhwetje babulayi ba Senzo gore moya ga ora wala ka khuthu. Amen.
How do delays in criminal proceedings affect victims and their families? We have the better minds on the program of digital audiences here with their views. We have Gerrie Nel as well. Advocate Nel is here. As you know, he is from AfriForum's private prosecution. He's the head there. He's going to give us his take on the matter as well. We have legal analyst Mr. Phiri on the program. It just reminds me of what Zama Meyiwa, Senzo's sister, she was in conversation with SABC's Griselda Lewis recently saying that their mother is strong but emotional. She said that she's hoping this time the matter is resolved while their mother is still alive. As you know, Senzo's father, Sam Meyiwa, is no more. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to discuss this further next. Welcome back. You're watching It's Topical. It's a program that puts you, our viewers, at the center of the discussion. Please have your say regarding the burning issues of the week. Interact with us on all our social media platforms. We're asking you tonight, in the light of the ongoing Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, how do delays in criminal proceedings affect the victim of crime as well as their families. Please send us your thoughts at It's Topical. There's a number as well pop up on your screen throughout the program. 011-714-5958 is the number to call us in studio. But you can also send us your WhatsApp comments on 078-459-1819. There's also some other extensions there to give us a call. I'd love to hear you on this program. So, having said all that, I want to just set the scene and give you a simple illustration behind me of the criminal justice system process. So let me walk you through it. This is the minimum standards of service for victims of crime. And if someone has committed a crime, this is the whole process. They report it to SABC, setting the criminal justice system in motion. Then the SABC is responsible for investigating the crime. Once somebody is charged, and the case is referred to the court, and thereafter the prosecutor assumes responsibility for the prosecution of the case. Then it moves to this stage. Let me just show you. The prosecutor may do one of three things: to decide that there's sufficient evidence, proceed with the prosecution, that's one. Decide that more information is needed, and then instruct the investigating officer to further investigate. And then the last one, for various reasons, decide to withdraw the charges. What does this mean? Let's bring in a better mind. Gerrie Nel, Advocate Gerrie Nel, joins us now live. He is the AfriForum's private prosecution head. He joins us now via Zoom. He's also a former NPA advocate. Mr. Nel, Advocate Nel, good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Herman. Thank you.
Look, I understand that we can't talk about the merits of the case, sub judice. It's before the court. But I want to just get your take with regards to what people are talking about out there as well. A botched robbery or an assassination? Where do you land, sir?
Well, I'm said on many occasions that I don't believe it's a botched robbery. I think it was something more. I think it was a contractual killing. And I think it is very significant when Advocate George Beloy indicated the structure of his case. You played a clip of the fighting machine or killing machine, but there was something even more significant. Advocate Beloy indicated to the court that the accused planned the crime at the hostel, and he will need evidence to indicate that their cell phones moved after the crime was committed back to the hostel. So what did they plan there? That will come out in the evidence.
Right.
But certainly I don't believe, and on what I've seen and the briefings I've had, that we're dealing with a botched robbery.
So having said that, if it is, as you say, a contractual killing, if it's leading towards it being an assassination, are you confident that this trial will unearth an alleged mastermind?
Not necessarily. I think it would have been easier if the mastermind was also an accused before the court. You see, in the matter that we're dealing with now, all accused pleaded not guilty. So they will make very few admissions, and they will do whatever they can to be acquitted at the end. So there's no indication that they will say, we did it, but we were paid to do it. So, no, that's why I said from the start that it would have been so much better if we had the mastermind as a co-accused in this particular trial.
So what's your view on the state's approach to this matter?
I said it last week, and I'll repeat it. Different prosecutors have a different approach to cases. Advocate George Beloy decided on this strategy. Certainly, he believed that that's the best way to do it. Perhaps if I did it, I would have done it differently. I've done these kind of.
How would you have done it, sir?
I think I would have done whatever I can to get the mastermind as a co-accused in this matter.
Just explain to us, having watched what happened over the past couple of months, the fact that the accused all pleaded not guilty. You expect this to be a protracted case, protracted trial?
It was such a stop-and-start affair on last week Friday, and there were applications and arguments. So I expect that to carry on during the trial. Right. I really hope that we'll start with leading evidence on Monday. Advocate Beloy indicated that he'll start with calling the photographers and the forensic people. But, I've seen many of these kind of trials. I'm convinced that on Monday morning, before we'll start, there'll be other applications that we'll have to deal with. But I think not a moment too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been an 8-year fight by the family to get justice and closure. I think it's not a moment too soon, but I do believe that we'll start with evidence on Monday.
We're asking the viewers the question. We still have our digital audience, by the way, listening, and they, Advocate Nel, are from various parts of the country. So, Control, tell me if you want to bring them in. We'll bring in the digital audience and get them to ask Advocate Nel some questions as well. But the question we're asking, sir, is how do these delays in criminal proceedings affect the victim as well as their families? You've been so closely working with the Meyiwa family. Talk to us about behind the scenes. Pull back the curtain for us, sir.
Mr. Herman, I don't even think it's a debate. I think a delay, the maxim is that justice delayed is justice denied. It's just a fact. I think if you just think on the ability to testify and the ability to testify by the witnesses, if you testify, you give an indication of what you've seen, and it shouldn't be a memory test. Because now, if it's 8 years down the line, it becomes more of a memory test than a test of what you've seen, of what you've experienced. And I think what's very important is the right to closure. I don't think anybody on this program, or I have to remind anybody, of the trauma that the mother will go through if a child is killed and died in this tragic way. So I don't even think it's a debate, Mr. Herman, with respect to you and your program. But I do think we should perhaps just look at ways of how we can deal with this, how we can make it better in future.
Well, let's get to that, because that's the aim of the question, is how do we get to a better place? Let's bring in our digital audience. They've been listening attentively. We have a number of them. We will go through it systematically. Let's maybe start with Thuli from Clayville. Thuli, if you can unmute, talk to us with regards to the question of the day, and how can we get better, and how can society play a better role, or more important role, in shaping the way the criminal justice system works? What's your take?
Good evening. First off, I'd like to just say that this is a very sensitive matter, and the fact that it has been 8 years and now the case is now ongoing, I feel like the investigative team really needs to put an effort in making sure that everything is done correctly and justice is served lawfully. And I believe the family deserves justice and closure with this matter. So I feel like...
Now, we hear you, Thuli. Yamkeleka, let's get your thoughts on the matter. Yamkeleka, if you can just unmute. All right, while we are getting Yamkeleka to unmute, let's maybe talk to Sabelo in Cape Town. Talk to us, Sabelo, about your thoughts with regards to how we can, improve the criminal justice system and how it affects these delays. How does it affect families and victims? What's your thoughts? All right, I think we're battling. It's the gremlins. It's the gremlins in the system. Let's maybe try Aisha. Aisha from Pretoria, capital. Talk to us about your thoughts on the matter in terms of how we get to a better place.
I'm thinking that with regards to everything that has happened to the family, the longer it takes, the more trauma that they go through. So you have to play back a memory that you've been trying to ignore for the longest time, and it still isn't getting solved. So it's still a problem at this point. So the law needs to be for the family, and they need to get closure as soon as possible.
Mabo from Lubadi East, what's your take before we get back to Advocate Nel? Mabo, I think you muted again. Please unmute. Dase, go on.
Okay, thank you, Blaine, for having me, and good evening to you and everyone. I believe that the delays in criminal proceedings, they affect the family and the victims psychologically, as Gerrie Nel has mentioned, and the lady just spoke, I forgot her name. Yeah, it affects them psychologically because of the healing process being delayed. And also, I think it also creates a division in the families, as we have seen with the Senzo Meyiwa matter, that the brother went to seek his own legal representative, and the other members of the family, they have their own legal representative, you know, they're trying to seek alternatives in order to speed up the machinery of justice. And also it can also affect them financially, their financial well-being, where the money that is supposed to help around the household now is diverted into going back and forth, trying to get the matter investigated and eventually prosecuted, and can also create doubt and mistrust in the legal system, justice system. My apologies.
Thanks a lot. Mr. Advocate Nel, before I come to you, I just want to take one more from the Port City of Durban. Bishandu is there. I want to talk to you with regards to, look, I covered this funeral, Senzo's funeral, almost 8 years ago. And I saw the pain and I saw the hurt in the mother and father. Father is late now. Talk to us about your experience with Senzo, his legacy, and what these delays in terms of the criminal proceedings tell you about the justice system in total.
Good evening to everyone. I think for me, the more the justice is delayed, is like the justice is denied. For me, I think what is happening is like, it's uncalled for, and the general public is losing confidence on the state in a manner in which the matter has been handled. I think there's something wrong with the state, and especially when it comes to high-profile cases. I don't think with the 8 years, 8 years is more than enough. I think the matter should have been put into the finality. And then even the family, I don't think they're interested anymore on this matter. I think the state is failing us, and the general public is losing interest on the state, or they're losing confidence on the state.
Sipho, Ronald, Ria, please, Luzuko, please hang on. We'll come to you in a short while. I'm going to bring in Advocate Nel here. You said justice delayed is justice denied, Shandu from Durban. Maybe I'll take it one more further. And people do say that justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. Advocate Nel, do you think people are losing faith in the criminal justice system?
Unfortunately, I have to say yes, but let me just say the court made a very important point. When there was an application for a further postponement to allow the defense to consult with witnesses, the court said, we all acknowledge the accused right to prepare for trial, right to consult with witnesses, but the court said pertinently, the families and society also have rights. They also have rights to see this matter start and end. And the court then said, because of the rights that the family and society have in the criminal justice system to see that matters are prosecuted, he will not allow any further postponement. And that is really, Mr. Herman, the only way we can get through all these postponements and matters if the presiding officers, if the presiding officer is just strong and make sure that justice prevails, that everybody gets sufficient time, but that is not abused in postponing matters over and over and over again.
Yeah. Let's go back to our digital audience. Sipho Kekana, familiar name. Sir, this is your bread and butter. You cover these issues. How has this case affected the sporting fraternity, would you say?
Hi, Blaine. Well, the sporting fraternity, I think just like the rest of the public, this is a matter that has been hanging for a very, very long time. And I think every person, whether you're in the sports fraternity or not, this is one matter that we all would like to see come to an end. 8 years is a very, very long time. It's not fair on the family. It is not fair on every member of the public. It is not right on the image of the justice system in the country. So it is one matter that really everybody feels that it needs to come to an end. And as Advocate Gerrie Nel has mentioned, we are at a stage perhaps where the matter will now be heard. We've seen the hiccups that we've had at the beginning of this court case last week, with a lot of applications, postponements and everything. And I think perhaps the judge there was just trying to be fair in order to avoid issues like applications for retrial in the event that one party feels hard done by and complains that they were not afforded the opportunity to prepare. The judge tried to be fair and grant those applications for postponement. So hopefully tomorrow the state will now be allowed to start with with leading the evidence. You will remember that the counsel for accused number 5 complained right at the beginning of this case. They complained that there were some state witness statements which had not been provided to them by the state. And the state, to their defense, was saying that we could not give you the statement earlier because we had to protect the identity of the witnesses. And I think it's a tough situation that the judge and everybody has to find themselves in. And I think we are at a stage where perhaps even the defense need to take that into cognizance, because if the state was right in saying that by revealing by handing over the statement was putting the lives of those witnesses in danger. So further postponement are actually going to now actually put those the lives of those witnesses at risk. So I think it is one matter that everybody feels that needs to be wrapped up.
Super. Thank you very much indeed for your comments. Digital audience, stay with us. We're going to come back to you in a short while. Let me get the last word from Advocate Nel. You've been working closely with the investigating officers. You've had an intimate association with this case. I know that the judge said that there is no more delays here, but can the public expect any shocks in the next week or so? What's your take?
No, not in the next week or so. I think a bit later in the trial, Advocate Beloy indicated the structure of his case. I think the first weekend will be formal evidence, painting a picture about what happened, and that's also the way you present the case, painting a picture what happened. I think later in the trial, when we deal with confessions and admissions, that is when the society would really really understand what happened. And as a last word, Mr. Herman, I think there's pressure on everybody in that court. That's now defense and the state, for them to be ready and prepared and just get this matter going. All of society's eyes are on our court. So if they want to do anything to get our confidence in the criminal justice system back, they should really start and be prepared going forward.
So we thank you very much indeed for your time and your perspective. Be well.
Thank you very much.
All right, Advocate Gerrie Nel there. And I know some of you are screaming, ask him who killed Senzo. What does he know? He can't talk about it. It's before the court. He doesn't want to prejudice the case as well. So we are going to bring in the legal analyst as well, talk around the issue, the bigger issue as well. So we're going to take a quick break. More next. Topical on SABC News Channel. In a few minutes, we'll be joined by SABC 2 viewers. So we welcome them on board the It's Topical train. Well, a goalkeeping genius in every sense of the word. The slain soccer maestro last moments at the Orlando Stadium, well documented. But it's his brutal death and the 8-year wait, about 8 years, for justice that leaves a lot to be desired, as our co-producer, Mahiketla Motlabe, reports.
On the rainy night of October the 25th, 2014, Orlando Pirates walloped Ajax Cape Town in a Telkom knockout 5-goal thriller at the Orlando Stadium. It was on this day when Pirates sensation Senzo Meyiwa completed his 90-minute night shift and walked off the pitch for the last time. And the following day, the country woke up in tears of a devastating loss. The Bafana Bafana captain shot and killed just over 40 kilometers from the stadium in Vosloorus. Just 6 years later, in 2020, 5 arrests were made, and after back-to-back delays and postponements, the murder accused were denied bail, and the trial transferred to the High Court in the country's capital city in Pretoria.
I'm very disappointed that the mastermind has not been arrested.
And a plea for swift justice in lyrics.
Justice denied for how long? That means our system is not working.
And they will be expecting that the legal territory in the Pretoria High Court helps bring them closer to answers they all yearn to know. The beautiful game of football robbed of a talent, and the void is felt.
And it has transpired that we need more time.
Amid the back-to-back postponements, a huge question hangs over the criminal proceedings. Will the so-called mastermind ever be here?
As far as I'm concerned, the police have a very good idea on who the mastermind is, and I'm sure that if the mastermind is not added to the indictment, that there'll be other indictments in future.
It might as well be a trial of twists and turns. One that will remain topical even beyond April the 22nd. For its Topical, I am SABC News in Soweto.
So this week, after almost, 8 years of stops and starts, the murder trial of much-loved football star Senzo Meyiwa got underway in earnest, and the 5 accused, as you know, pleaded not guilty. And it's been a long wait, and many were starting to think this day would never come. Reitumetse Bennedict Phiri is a legal expert, and he joins us now live to discuss this and other issues pertaining to the criminal justice system. Mr. Phiri, thank you very much indeed for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
It's good to have context because, look, we can talk about it in the general public, but we don't understand maybe the workings of the state, of the NPA, of the South African Police Service. Help us understand, is the state or the NPA or in total the criminal justice system buckling under the pressure of rising crime?
Yeah, I would say that's a very fair assessment. We can start, for instance, at the criminal court, at the highest point of the criminal justice system. We're seeing that the criminal court sits between 3 and 4 hours a day in this country. With the crime load that we have and the caseload that we have, that's absolutely not sufficient to deal with what we're dealing with. From the NPA perspective, the conviction rate is in single figures across most crimes. And that has been the case for an extended period of time, and that's not being ebbed against or improved in any substantial manner that would deal with the crime that we experience in the country. And then with the investigation stage with the police, we all know what's happening there. They're overworked, they're under-resourced, some of the cases are not investigated properly. So I think the criminal justice system is struggling in this country. Yeah.
You picked up with regards to the prosecution rates, conviction rates. I have some research in front of me. And back in 2019, reportedly, the NPA stated in its annual report that prosecution rates for serious offences was as low as 2%. Yeah. Then fast forward to the 2021 annual report, and Advocate Jamila Butoi said high conviction rates have been maintained in cases that went to trial. What changed?
Well, nothing really changed because what you're not understanding in those two perspectives is that what actually happened is that the number of cases that actually went to court from the NPA's perspective from the police dwindled. So if I only have 10 cases to measure myself out of 50, of course I'll look like I have a higher success rate in the cases. But in reality, the success rate is absolutely dismal. It is single figures across most crimes, in fact. It doesn't compare favorably against comparable jurisdictions, and we are we're effectively sending a message that crime pays in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's bring in back our digital audience and get their take with regards to what we're talking about. And remember, the question of the week is these delays. How does it affect the victims as well as their families? Tabelo is joining us now. Tabelo, let's get your take with regards to our question of the week.
Good evening. Because I'm also a journalist, so I have covered a lot of these cases, and I have covered some of the murders that have been unsolved. And it is so heartbreaking just to call the families over and over. Every year you call a family and you're asking, has there been any arrest? Has there been, any developments? And then you can even hear, from the voices that they lose hope. Every year they lose hope. Their life changed, and no one is being held accountable for the crime. So they can't move on. They feel that they are stuck. As we've seen, like in case of Senzo Meyiwa as well, I think that is the same case as well, where every year you want to do a follow-up as a journalist in terms of what has happened. You speak to the investigating officer and then they say no news. So for me, it is heartbreaking. And then also I just feel like it also highlights the justice system. I mean, I feel like the justice system is on trial here as well. This is a high-profile case with the best detectives. There have been task teams that have been appointed, and it has taken 8 years. So how much more for ordinary South Africans? I mean, I think equality is very important. So if a high-profile case such as this has taken this long with the best resources in the country, what hope do you have for your own family members or relatives or whatever?
Let's bring in Ria. I'm just looking at your soccer jersey. I was in KZN this week, walking around to various parts, and there were at least 3 or 4 people using the Orlando Pirates shirt with Meyiwa in the back. His legacy still resonates, not only in KZN, but around the country. Your take, sir?
I was just watching the clips on that eventful night, whereby the late Senzo Meyiwa was outstanding on that evening. And, us as football supporters, especially Orlando Pirates supporters, we really feel undone. Justice have undone us. Not only to Orlando Pirates supporters, but to all families, including those who, especially the late Senzo's family members. One would ask many questions about our justice system, and one would also ask about what really happened on that night.
Ria,
especially for.
I just want you to pause that. I need to welcome our SABC2 viewers. They are joining us now live. Let me say hello to our SABC2 viewers who have just joined us. It's such a great pleasure having you on board. My name is Blaine Herman, and this is It's Topical, airing for the first time tonight on SABC2. It is a program where you have your say on the burning issues of the week. Why? Because you and I understand that news is only useful in the context of humanity. So we have a packed program for you tonight. And as always, as you can see, our central audience, our central viewers are here, the digital audience. They are joining me from all corners of the world via Zoom with pertinent issues on the issue of the day. And with regards to what we're talking about, we're asking you in terms of delays. How do delays in the criminal justice system affect victims, number one, as well as their families? It's a ripple effect, isn't it? So that's what we're talking about. We have the better minds on the program tonight. We have Reitumetse, Phiri, he's a legal analyst as well. So we're going to be discussing not only the Senzo Meyiwa case, but taking it further and talking about some of the challenges that not only the NPA, the South African Police Service, but what is that relationship between the two entities, and how what plus what equals a better prosecution rate? conviction rate. So that's what we're talking about. You please tweet us at It's Topical SABC. Let's bring in Mr. Phiri back into the conversation. You heard some of the comments from our digital audience as well. Do you think the NPA, after the South African Police Service's investigation throws to the NPA, do you think they're fit for purpose in order to bring justice to people in South Africa?
I don't think at the moment that they're actually fit for purpose. I think, for instance, in cases like the Zuma case or other cases, we're seeing play out in a very public way how the NPA has been hollowed out, how the NPA has been pandering to political interests, how the NPA is not fully independent. There's a 25% vacancy rate in the NPA at the moment. Senior prosecutors have left and are not being replaced. So when I consider that, and I think of the type of skill required and the type of effort required to really stem the tide on crime, the NPA is definitely not fit for purpose, and there needs to be some more capacitation on a number of fronts.
I was listening to the NPA head the other day, Advocate Samuel Batoy, saying that the wheels of justice is now moving in the right direction. When talking about the state capture reports, we know the reports are out there. People want people to be prosecuted, those who stole, those who are eventually found guilty. But Advocate Batoy was saying that it is highly complex. That's the word, highly complex, and will take time to investigate and prosecute. Are the public's expectations too high or unreasonable in this regard, in terms of the pace and how it all operates?
I think the public's perceptions are not exceptionally unreasonable. I think in some instances there's maybe a misunderstanding of what it takes to investigate a criminal case, especially a complex one. Some of the state capture ones are very, many players, many jurisdictions, locations, etc., and bring that to the courts. It's one thing to hear it in Judge Zondo's commission, but the NPA effectively has to do that again in court. It is a time-consuming process. And yes, we do expect it to be faster, and it would help if the conviction rate was higher. I think we could exercise a little bit more patience in that regard.
We are asking our viewers to give us a call, the number 011-714-5958. There's also a number of extensions there. Please jot it down, give us a call. We want to take your thoughts on this program. We have Eric from Limpopo. Eric, a very good night or a very good evening to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. What's on your mind?
Thank you, evening also to the viewers. Thank you. You're more than welcome.
Talk to us about your take in terms of the conversation that we're having and about how delays in the criminal proceedings affect victims and their families. What's your experience?
Yes, it really affected the victim of crimes and also the family of the victim of crime, especially when it comes to this case of Senzo Meyiwa. It's been long. The public want to know exactly what transpired. It's almost 8 years now. And then Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And now there are people charged that are busy in the High Court in Pretoria. And then when there are some other delays, especially just like the one that we saw it last week when the defense team, especially when it comes to accused number 5, when they say they want the postponement, that is the delays that it had the families of the deceased. And if you still remember, the father of Senzo Meyiwa once complained that the police are not doing anything about this case. And then when there are some other delays and other things, that it really had the family members also, especially the wife of Senzo Meyiwa, because now the citizens, the public, and our neighboring state, they want to know what exactly transpired. Just because now there are people that have been charged for this case.
Eric, we thank you very much indeed for your views. Please continue to give us a call, 011-714-5958. Let's we need to take a quick break. We're going to go back to our digital audience in a short while, get their take on the matter. You're watching It's Topical. Quick break, more next.
SABC News, hello. If you want to know what's going on around the world, there's only one place to be.
Welcome back. You're watching It's Topical, and we have a number of elements on this program, which you'll get used to as the weeks go by. And one of it is Word on the Street. It's where we go out and get your views. Let's go back now to the streets to hear what you have to say about the Senzo Meyiwa case and the criminal justice system in general. And this time around, we go to Orlando Stadium in Soweto, which was where Senzo's football team was based, Orlando Stadium, and where he played his last match on the eve of his death. Take a look.
Question for today: how do you think Senzo Meyiwa's case has been handled? I think it's been poorly handled. The criminal justice system has disappointed all of us. There's a lot of our brothers and sisters that have not found resolutions to this day.
Many cases that are still pending. And so one case yomntu ofana no Senzo Meyiwa umuntu obesimbukela simthanda ithatha ixesha elide kangaka sophula umoya kakhulu.
It's hurting people. The more the case is dragged, abakhona ukufola because it was santo elungore ka molao ka be le khale e fedile mo minahano ya bona, so it keeps on coming back.
Ngicabanga ukuthi abantu abebakhona ku incident ngesikhathi kwenzakala le incident bayalazi iqiniso yiba abantu akumele baboshwe.
It's been 8 years and it's very, very painful. I think the justice of South Africa has failed the family, has failed everyone.
As time passes, it questions the integrity of the case, and the legitimacy of the information. So it's basically who's lying, and it's like you just don't understand where the storyline is going.
So the case was handled very well. In case of avoiding wrong people to be sentenced.
Sifuna ukwazi vele ukuthi kenzekeni ngoSenzo Meyiwa kusasa kubanjwa laba bayayekwa na. Next time sazi sokubanjwe laba, so we are confused. Ngoba kuthiwa yonke lento lena sababatholile jikijika sezwa next is quiet. So we want to know. Angeke ibhakaniya lihambe nje kube quiet net kanjalo.
Abafethu laba abafethu hey bahambisa isitashamo.
So that's what we do. We bring your views onto this platform, which is watched around the world. Let's get our digital audiences joining us from around the country as well. We do have viewers from as far as Abu Dhabi, but let's talk to Luzuko from Pretoria, the capital. Luzuko, thank you very much indeed for joining us. What's your take on the conversation that we're having with regards to the criminal justice system in South Africa?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And good afternoon to everyone. I think the justice system has really failed us in South Africa as a whole because this is a high-profile case, so it needs to be dealt with urgently. And again, we need to understand that criminal cases go through lengthy processes, so it's just not a one-day thing. So we need to go through all the processes. But again, it's affecting the victims and everything, because even now, when I watch the documentary on Netflix, there are contradicting stories where I feel like it's just a memory lane because 8 years is a very long time. So personally, I think the justice system can do better in making sure that they speed up the process.
Ronald Chauke, your thoughts, sir?
No, thank you so much. My take on this is that this is a very classical example or case of we are not equal before the eyes of the law, because this case took over 8 years, a whole 8 years, where the state resources have been to waste, and this makes the family, the fans, and the general public to wonder if the justice system serves only certain people and not the whole of South African citizens. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Let's just wrap up the conversation with our legal analyst, Reitumetse, Phiri. Well, how do we get to a better place, sir? You heard the concerns from the citizens. You heard the word on the street, not in particular of the Senzo Meyiwa case, but in terms of bettering the criminal justice system. What's the way forward?
Yeah, I think there definitely needs to be a better compact between those three arms of the criminal justice system, right? I think the courts need to really work more efficiently and more quickly. I think prosecutors need to spend a lot of time on ensuring that their cases are actually winnable and that the throughput secures higher conviction rates. And similarly from the police, I think there needs to be a better influx and making sure that the cases that come through and are put through to the prosecution are actually quality cases.
But how do you improve that flow between police and NPA?
Yeah, I think really there's a skills problem at this particular point in time. And I think, we need to capacitate the NPA first and foremost. We need to get better skills in there. I mean, there's various programs that are trying to do this, the aspirant prosecutor program, which got shelved and restarted, etc. We're bringing on private advocates to help with the prosecution of these cases, especially as well as private attorneys. So I think that helps. But overall, for the system to operate on its own, we need all those three components to really be firing. And also, let's not forget our part as the public, right? We've also got to make sure that we come forward as witnesses when matters require witnesses. We report cases with the right level of details. We don't hide people, etc. So I think all those four just do need to be improved. It's a tall order, but certainly, that needs to be improved from that perspective.
We'd love to get the South African Police Service on the program, the NPA. We did issue a number of invites. They weren't available, but we thank you, sir, for your better mind. You bring in good content perspective, plus for the audience. Also, to our digital audience, thank you very much indeed for your time. We'll no doubt get your views on our social media platform. Yamkeleka, I see you there. We will no doubt bring you back and we will talk to you in the next program. That's our digital audience. Look, let me get you my take. I covered Senzo Meyiwa's funeral almost 8 years ago, and I didn't think back then that all these years later, I will be still asking that same question. Who killed Senzo? Look, crime takes a huge toll, be it physical, be it emotional, be it financial. Victims and their families, they deserve prompt redress. They deserve an effective and fair criminal system. So how best can we strike a balance between the cases reported to the police and the NPA's prosecution and conviction rates? You expect prosecution, right, of all those responsible of stealing from you, who hurt your family. Those expectations are not unreasonable. But there are those that are working to get it right the first time. And to those victims of crime and their families and those working faithfully to make this criminal justice system better, my hope is that your faith is rewarded with what we find in our collective future. The news continues on the SABC News channel, so stay tuned for that. The SABC2 viewers, thank you very much indeed. We appreciate your time. Have yourself a great night. Take a listen to, take a watch or look at these visuals from about 8 years ago. Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Back live at the Mozambique Stadium. The stadium is indeed filling up. Fans have come here from early parts of this morning, gathered here to pay tribute to Senzo Meyiwa. Also, the family, we're told that they're on their way with the coffin and they should be here shortly.